I want you to imagine a 240-page book written in a language no one can read. It's filled with plants that don't exist, astronomical charts that make no sense, and naked women bathing in bizarre, interconnected tube systems. It has fantastical creatures that blend the real with the impossible. World War II codebreakers tried to decipher it, they failed. Modern AI has tried, it has failed. For over 600 years, Voynich Manuscript has defeated every attempt to understand it. It is the most mysterious book in the world, and it's sitting at the library of Yale University, waiting for someone, maybe you, to finally crack its secrets. The Voynich Manuscript can be found under catalog number MS-408 at the Yale's Vinex Rare Book and Manuscript Library. You can view high-resolution scans online. You can flip through its pages. You can stare at its strange script and surreal illustrations all right now. And I promise, you won't understand a word. And if you do, you should say something, because you're going to end up fabulously rich. The manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who acquired it in 1912 from a Jesuit college in Italy. The book itself is much older. Carbon dating places the vellum, which is the animal skin used for the pages, between 1404 and 1438. The early 15th century, the Renaissance era. This is a time of alchemy, cryptography, herbal medicine, and occult knowledge. Books like this weren't unusual in concept. We have medical text, astronomical treatises, and even encoded grimoires. But the Voynich manuscript is different. Why? Well, I've already said it. Because no one knows what it says. The text is written in an unknown script that scholars have dubbed as Voynichese. It flows from left to right, like most European languages. It has structures, that is, repeating patterns, word-like units, paragraph breaks, and when put to statistical analysis, it shows that it has the entropy similar to natural languages. It looks like it should mean something. But we can't decode it. So let's talk about what's actually in this book. What we can tell. The manuscript is divided into sections based on its illustrations. First, you have its herbal section, which is the largest. It features drawings of plants. These plants aren't anything anyone's ever seen. The roots don't match the leaves. The flowers resemble known species, but with bizarre alterations. Botanists who have tried to identify them as real plants, drawn poorly or stylized, mostly agree that these are chimeric, fantastical, or just plain impossible. Then we move on to the astronomical section. These contain circular diagrams that resemble zodiac charts, but with modifications. Some zodiac symbols are present, but altered, and then there are star-like patterns of celestial imagery and naked human figures that are incorporated into the designs. It looks like astronomy, it feels like cosmology, and yet the meaning's opaque. Then we have the biological section, and some call this the balneological section, and it's the weirdest. This is the one that shows naked women bathing in interconnected tube systems that are filled with green or blue liquid. Some figures are seen entering the vessels and others exiting it, and the tubes all connect in strange networks. But if they're medical diagrams, gynecological illustrations, alchemical processes, maybe water processing systems, no one knows. Then we have the pharmaceutical section, which has illustrations that look like jars and containers accompanied by text. And honestly, this one probably resembles other manuscripts that we know the most in how it's set up, because it seems to suggest recipes or even a remedy book. But again, without understanding the language, it's impossible to say. There are other sections too that we aren't going to go into. These include cosmology diagrams, pages of just text, but really in the end, it all just raises questions. You see, the script itself is maddening. The Voynichese uses about 20 to 30 distinct characters, depending on how you count those variations. And some of the characters appear frequently and others rarely. There's no obvious corrections or crossed out words, suggesting that either the scribe was incredibly skilled or was copying from another source. The word length and the frequency distribution resemble a natural language, i.e. it would pass an AI test. But attempts to map its known languages to Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, early Romance languages have all failed. And people have tried. Oh yeah, they've tried. Enter William Friedman, one of the greatest cryptographers of the 20th century. He's the man who broke the Japanese codes during World War II. He spent decades trying to crack the Voynich Manuscript. He formed a study group. They applied frequency analysis, pattern recognition, everything in his toolkit, and they found nothing. Next up is John Tiltman, another legendary British cryptographer who took a shot at it. He thought it might be a constructed language or a sophisticated cipher, and so he applied his tools to that as well. And more recently, researchers have applied computational linguistics and artificial intelligence to the problem. Machine learning algorithms have been trained on the text. Some claim to have found patterns suggesting it's a real language with meaning, and others argue the statistical properties could be generated by a clever hoax. But there's no consensus or breakthrough, so what are the theories? So the first one is the lost language theory, and it's the most optimistic, that maybe the Voynich Manuscript is written in an encrypted version of a natural language. Maybe it's a constructed language created by the author, or maybe it's even an obscure dialect or proto-language that died out before anyone could record it. Some researchers have claimed breakthroughs on that, most famously a 2019 paper by Gerard Cheshire, claiming it to be written in a proto-Romance language. The paper was retracted, however, after experts tore it apart. The claims just didn't hold up to peer-reviewed scrutiny. You have the hoax theory that suggests that the manuscript is just nonsense created to deceive a buyer, something out of Lies of Locklemore. You have Gordon Rugg, a British researcher, demonstrating that you could create a Voynichese-like text using a card and grill, a Renaissance encoding tool that involved a card with holes punched in it and laid over a table of syllables. You would then randomly select syllables through the holes, and you get text that looks structured but means nothing. Then you have Rugg's theory. Rugg's theory is compelling, and for more reasons than just could it be pulled off. Emperor Rudolph II of Bohemia has allegedly purchased the manuscript in the 1600s for a significant sum of money, believing that it could have been the work of the medieval scholar Roger Bacon. Now, it's totally possible that when the emperor comes knocking, someone might have forged it specifically to dupe him. But even so, there is a problem, and it's the illustrations. They're detailed, carefully rendered, consistent in style, and it raises a question. If this is a hoax, why put so much effort into illustration for a book that's pure gibberish? You could have left the pictures out or done less of them. After all, even for an incredible amount of money, hoaxers usually do take shortcuts. Now, we have the alchemical compendium theory, which does suggest that the manuscript is a medical or alchemical text, perhaps even folk medicine. But there's a problem there, is not even a single recognizable alchemical symbol. No clear references to any alchemical processes, and experts in medieval alchemy have examined it and found nothing familiar. And I actually have a great book on alchemy on my shelf, and it goes through the history of alchemy, and you do see reoccurring motifs across different cultures in alchemy. Then we have the automatic writing theory, which proposes that the author was in a trance state and producing a structured text, producing a text that has a structure of language but no actual meaning, that it was essentially a stream of conscious nonsense that emerged from an altered mental state. More than nonsense, something that made complete sense, but in a language we can't understand. This is totally possible. Matter of fact, we have cases where someone wakes up from being in a coma and suddenly they know a language that they had no touch point to. This is totally possible. And, it could be fiction. It could just be the work of imagination, a fantasy world described in a language that the author invented. Which does make me wonder, if an apocalyptic event happened and all that was left was Tolkien's work, would people think of the Elven language as one of ours? Anyways, a researcher, Lisa Davis, describes the manuscript as Sphinx-like. It has a surface simplicity, she says. You can look at it and follow the script, trace illustrations, and yet it remains utterly inscrutable. and it's a puzzle that taunts us. So what do we know for certain? The manuscript's real, for one. The vellum does date to the 15th century, and the text and illustrations are created with care and skill. It's traveled throughout Europe and has changed hands from scholars to collectors to emperors, and now it sits at Yale, accessible for anyone who wants to study it. And after 600 years, no one has cracked it. So you should try. Go on, give it a chance right now. Voynich's library has digitized the entire manuscript. You can download high-resolution scans, pore over every page, apply your own theories. It's real. It's accessible. And if this mystery has captivated you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories where reality defies explanation. Oh, and share this with someone who loves puzzles, codes, and the tantalizing possibility of the fantastical. If you want to dive deeper into the strange and unexplained, check out my fantasy books at isaacyorks.com, where I create and explore worlds as mysterious as this one. You can also sign up for my mailing list to receive a new short story or bookish updates every month down in the show notes below. Thanks for watching. Keep questioning, keep wondering, and remember, the truth is always weirder than fantasy.